Have you been told eggs are a perfect food? They can be, but only if you're not making these 5 dangerous mistakes. I'm Dr. Justin Keller, and I've seen far too many older adults harm their heart, brain, and digestion simply because they prepare eggs the wrong way, every single day without knowing it. In this video, we're talking about the 5 most dangerous ways seniors over 60 should never eat eggs. I'll explain how certain cooking oils, processed meats, undercooked yolks, and even salt could be silently affecting your health. And it's not just about what's on your plate, it's about protecting your independence, your energy, and your future. Stick with me until the very end, because the first habit I'll cover is the one I see most often in my patients, and it's the one doing the most damage. It might even be part of your breakfast routine right now. If you care about living longer, living stronger, and making smarter food choices every day, this video is for you. And if you're watching from somewhere special, drop your city in the comments below. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Glowing Age. That simple click helps me keep bringing you valuable lessons like this, grounded in real science and years of patient experience. Now, let's take a closer look at how one common food, eggs, might be holding back your health more than helping it. Warning number 1. Over-frying in butter or processed oils. Did you know the way you cook your eggs could be quietly damaging your heart every morning? I'm Dr. Justin Keller, and I've spent nearly 2 decades working with aging adults who are trying to take back control of their health, one small habit at a time. And here's one habit I see all too often: frying eggs in the wrong kind of fat. Let's start with a simple truth. Eggs on their own are not the enemy. They're actually one of the best sources of protein, healthy fats, and brain-supporting nutrients like choline and B vitamins. But how you cook them can turn them from a superfood into a silent threat, especially if you're over 60. Here's the problem. Many people in your age group were raised during a time when butter was a kitchen staple and vegetable oil was sold as the healthy alternative. But now, decades later, science is telling a different story, one we can't afford to ignore. When you fry eggs in butter or processed oils like corn, soybean, or margarine, you're adding a heavy dose of saturated fats and oxidized oils to your diet. That might not sound serious, but for aging arteries, it absolutely is. Let me explain why. As we age, the flexibility of our blood vessels naturally declines. They become less elastic, more prone to plaque buildup, and more sensitive to inflammation. Now, when you consistently eat oxidized fats, those created when oils are heated at high temperatures, they can trigger chronic inflammation in your bloodstream. That inflammation is one of the root causes of cardiovascular disease, the #1 killer of older adults. In my practice, I've seen patients with no family history of heart disease suddenly experience high cholesterol or high blood pressure in their 60s and 70s. And often it comes down to daily choices like what they're cooking with, not just what they're eating, but how it's being prepared. Butter, while natural, is high in saturated fat. A small amount on occasion isn't a disaster. But when it becomes the go-to fat every morning, especially at high heat, it's working against you. And processed vegetable oils? They're even worse. Most of them are highly refined, stripped of any nutritional value, and become toxic when heated. Some even contain omega-6 fats in amounts that disrupt the delicate balance your aging body needs to stay in an anti-inflammatory state. I often ask my patients one simple question. If your heart and brain depend on low inflammation to function well, why feed them the very thing that causes it? So what should you do instead? Try using cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil if you're pan-cooking eggs. It has a higher antioxidant content, and it doesn't degrade as badly at moderate heat. Avocado oil is another smart choice. It's stable at high temperatures and supports cardiovascular health. Or better yet, explore lower heat cooking methods like poaching or boiling. These methods preserve the nutrients in eggs and protect you from dangerous fats. And don't be afraid to switch up the routine. I've had many older patients who swapped out their butter-fried eggs for olive oil scrambled eggs with spinach or tomatoes. Within weeks, they noticed lighter digestion, lower morning blood pressure, and a clearer head. It's a small shift, but one that can dramatically change the trajectory of your health after 60. Remember, it's not about giving up eggs. It's about preparing them in a way that respects your body, your heart, and your years of life experience. Because after 60, every choice matters just a little more. Warning number 2, eating undercooked or raw eggs. It might seem harmless, maybe even healthy. A runny yolk on toast or a raw egg tossed into a smoothie for extra protein. But if you're over 60, eating undercooked or raw eggs is a risk your body may no longer be prepared to handle. I say this not to alarm you, but to inform you, because I've seen the consequences firsthand in patients who thought they were making a healthy choice. Let's talk about your immune system. As we age, our natural immune defenses gradually weaken. Your body doesn't fight off bacteria as efficiently as it once did. What might cause mild discomfort for a 25-year-old can turn into a serious illness for someone in their 60s, 70s, or beyond. And unfortunately, eggs, if undercooked or raw, can be a common carrier of salmonella, a bacteria that's especially dangerous for older adults. In fact, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has consistently warned that adults over 65 are at a significantly higher risk for severe illness and hospitalization from foodborne bacteria. And eggs, particularly those with runny whites or yolks, are a top offender. You may not even realize when it's happening. The egg looks just slightly soft, still glossy, a little underdone. But to bacteria, that's an open invitation. Symptoms of salmonella can hit harder and last longer in older adults. We're talking days of nausea, vomiting, fever, dehydration, and in many cases, hospitalization. I've had patients wind up in the ER simply because they ate soft scrambled eggs or licked batter containing raw egg. And here's something else. It's not just about raw eggs cracked into drinks or sunny-side-up breakfasts. Pre-made dressings, mayonnaise, homemade yolis, or desserts like mousse and tiramisu sometimes contain raw or lightly cooked egg. At your age, even those small exposures can carry a big risk if they're not handled with care. So how do you protect yourself? Start by cooking eggs until both the white and yolk are firm. That means no more glossy, runny centers or soft-cooked whites. Poaching, boiling, or thoroughly scrambling are your safest bets. If you enjoy foods that traditionally include raw egg, like homemade Caesar dressing or hollandaise, look for pasteurized egg products. These are specially treated to eliminate bacteria but retain their nutritional value and taste. And if you're ever unsure about whether something contains raw or undercooked egg, ask. At a restaurant, at a friend's house, or even when reading a label. This isn't about being fussy, it's about being wise. I once had a patient in her early 70s who ended up bedridden for nearly 2 weeks from a mild salmonella infection she got while on vacation. All she had was a soft-boiled egg and a local egg salad sandwich. She told me afterward, "I never realized something so small could hit me so hard." That's exactly why I'm sharing this with you. It's not about fear. It's about knowing your body and making smarter choices that protect the strong, vibrant years you've worked so hard for. Eggs can still be a regular part of your life. Just make sure they're fully cooked, safe, and supporting your health, not quietly working against it. Warning number 3. Adding processed meats like bacon or sausage. It's one of the most iconic breakfast pairings out there. Eggs with bacon or sausage. It's comforting, familiar, and for many of my older patients, it brings back memories of long Sunday mornings, family traditions, or even just the smell of something warm and satisfying coming from the kitchen. But as a doctor who works closely with adults over 60, I have to say something that might be hard to hear. That classic pairing is quietly doing damage, especially to your heart and blood vessels. Let's break this down. Processed meats like bacon, sausage, ham, and even deli meats are loaded with preservatives, especially nitrates and nitrites. These are chemical compounds used to keep the meat looking fresh and tasting salty. The problem is when these nitrates are exposed to high heat, like when you're frying them next to your eggs, they can form nitrosamines, which are compounds strongly linked to increased cancer risk, particularly gastrointestinal cancers. And that's just the beginning. These meats are also extremely high in sodium and saturated fat, two things the aging body simply cannot tolerate in the same way it once did. Most people over 60 are already managing higher blood pressure, thinner blood vessels, and lower kidney efficiency. Add the salt and fat from processed meats to your plate, and you're creating a daily stress test for your cardiovascular system. I recently worked with a patient, 74 years old, active, relatively healthy. She was eating eggs with turkey sausage every morning because she thought it was the healthier version. When we checked her labs, her LDL cholesterol had crept up, her blood pressure was borderline high, and she was experiencing mild fatigue she couldn't explain. We looked at her daily habits, and that processed meat was the common thread. Once she swapped it out, choosing sautéed vegetables or half an avocado instead, her blood pressure came down naturally, and she felt more energy within a month. No pills, just a better breakfast. And here's something many people overlook. The saturated fat in bacon and sausage isn't just bad for the heart. It also promotes systemic inflammation, which is a major factor in arthritis flare-ups, cognitive decline, and metabolic issues that become more serious with age. So even if you're not worried about your heart, you should be thinking about your joints, your brain, your energy, all of which are impacted by what you put on your plate first thing in the morning. Now, I'm not saying you can never have bacon again, but it should be a rare treat, not a daily staple. And if you're thinking turkey or chicken sausage is a safe bet, read the labels. Many of those are still highly processed, with added sugars, preservatives, and just as much sodium. So what should you eat with your eggs? If you're looking for something savory, try sautéing spinach, mushrooms, or tomatoes in a little olive oil. Add herbs or a sprinkle of feta cheese. Avocado slices add healthy fats that support heart and brain function. Even beans, yes, beans, can be a great breakfast companion for protein and fiber, especially for blood sugar control. The bottom line is this: pairing eggs with processed meat is a habit that might have worked when your body was younger and more resilient. But now, every bite is either fighting for you or against you. You've worked too hard to protect your health to let a strip of bacon undo that progress. Make the switch. Your heart, your energy, and your future self will thank you. Warning number 4. Oversalting or pre-salted egg products. It seems innocent. Just a quick shake of the salt shaker over your morning scramble. Maybe a pinch more on your omelet. After all, you've done it for years, right? But for older adults, that pinch of salt could be quietly putting strain on your heart, kidneys, and even your brain. And most people don't even realize how much they're consuming. As a physician who sees this every week, I can tell you, oversalting is one of the most common and most overlooked threats in the average senior's diet, especially when it comes to eggs. Here's what's really happening. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to sodium. Blood vessels stiffen, kidney function declines, and the body doesn't regulate fluid as efficiently as it once did. This means that even modest increases in sodium can lead to rising blood pressure, water retention, and increased risk of heart failure or stroke. Now think about your eggs. On their own, they're naturally low in sodium, less than 70 milligrams per large egg. But what gets added to them is the real issue. If you salt your eggs while cooking and again at the table, you're doubling up. Add in some cheese, a slice of toast with salted butter, and maybe a piece of bacon or sausage. And suddenly you've exceeded your entire day's recommended sodium intake before 9 a.m., and that's just if you're cooking from scratch. What's even more dangerous is when you rely on pre-salted egg products. Those frozen breakfast sandwiches, microwavable scrambles, fast food breakfasts, or even pre-made hard-boiled eggs from the grocery store. Many of these contain hundreds of milligrams of sodium per serving, often without you even tasting the salt. They rely on preservatives and flavor enhancers to boost shelf life, but the cost is hidden in your blood pressure reading. I had a patient once, 67 years old, borderline hypertensive, managing okay with lifestyle changes. He was eating what he thought was a healthy, egg white breakfast sandwich every morning from a popular chain. But when we reviewed the nutrition label together, that one sandwich contained over 800 milligrams of sodium, more than half his daily limit in a single meal. And he was adding salt on top. Once we addressed that single habit, he switched to making eggs at home with herbs and a dash of potassium-based seasoning. His blood pressure dropped 12 points over 3 months. No new medications, just a better informed choice. So what can you do? First, taste your food before reaching for the salt. As we get older, our taste buds naturally dull, so we tend to overseason without realizing it. But there are flavorful alternatives that don't strain your body. Black pepper, garlic powder, turmeric, smoked paprika, fresh herbs like chives or dill. Even a squeeze of lemon can brighten up eggs without a single grain of salt. Second, if you're buying pre-made egg products, read the label. Look for sodium content under 200 milligrams per serving. If it's not listed or you're unsure, skip it. You deserve to know what you're putting in your body. And finally, remember that high blood pressure doesn't always cause symptoms until it's too late. You might feel fine now, but silently, excess sodium can be increasing your risk of heart disease, stroke, kidney damage, and even cognitive decline. The truth is, aging doesn't mean giving up flavor, it means redefining it. You can still enjoy delicious, satisfying eggs every morning, but your body needs you to season with care, not habit. You've earned the right to enjoy your food and your health for many years to come. Make that choice with every bite. Warning number 5. Relying on eggs as the only protein source. Eggs are one of nature's most efficient protein sources. Affordable, versatile, and packed with essential amino acids. But if eggs are the only protein you're relying on day after day, especially after 60, you could be missing out on critical nutrients your body needs to stay strong, resilient, and energized. I've had countless patients come into my office proud of their clean eating routines. Many of them, especially those watching their weight or cholesterol, default to 2 or 3 eggs for breakfast and call it a day when it comes to protein. And while it's certainly better than skipping protein altogether, this narrow approach can lead to gaps that matter more with every passing year. Let me explain why. As we age, we naturally lose muscle mass, a process called sarcopenia. It begins in your 40s, but by your 60s and 70s, it can accelerate rapidly if you're not intentional about getting enough protein and a wide range of nutrients to support muscle maintenance. Eggs alone simply don't provide enough variety. Yes, they offer high-quality protein, but they lack significant amounts of fiber, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and certain antioxidants that come from plant-based or fish-based protein sources. And if you're eating 2 to 3 eggs per day as your main protein source, you may also be exceeding the recommended cholesterol intake, especially if you're not balancing it with fiber-rich foods that help clear excess cholesterol from your system. I once worked with a retired school teacher who told me, "I eat eggs every day because they're easy and healthy." That was true to a point. But over time, her energy levels dipped, and blood tests showed low levels of vitamin D, omega-3s, and iron. Why? Because eggs alone weren't enough to meet her body's growing needs for nutrient diversity. When we adjusted her diet to include other sources of protein, like salmon twice a week, lentils in soups, Greek yogurt for snacks, and a few servings of beans or nuts throughout the week, her energy improved, her digestion became more regular, and her labs normalized in just a few months. And there's something else you should consider. A diet too heavily reliant on eggs can lead to boredom, and boredom often leads to skipping meals or reverting to less healthy, processed options out of convenience. Instead of making eggs your only protein, make them part of a balanced rotation. Include fatty fish like salmon or sardines for brain and heart health. Add in plant-based sources like chickpeas, black beans, tofu, or quinoa for fiber and minerals. Lean poultry, nuts, seeds, and even dairy like cottage cheese or kefir can round out your protein intake while providing additional health benefits. The goal isn't to stop eating eggs. It's to stop depending on them as your sole source of nutrition. You need variety now more than ever, not just to maintain strength, but to support your immune system, stabilize blood sugar, protect your bones, and reduce inflammation throughout your body. So the next time you crack open those eggs, ask yourself, what else can I add to this plate to build a stronger, brighter version of myself? You've made it this far with wisdom and grit. Let your plate reflect that. Bonus tip, quality over quantity. Not all eggs are created equal. And when you're over 60, the quality of the food you eat matters more than ever. It's not just about how many eggs you're eating each week. It's about where those eggs come from, how they were raised, and what they bring to your body beyond protein. Let's start with the basics. The majority of eggs sold in large grocery chains are from hens raised in crowded, industrial farms. These birds are often fed low-grade feed, kept in stressful environments, and given hormones or antibiotics. What does that mean for you? Eggs from these sources tend to be lower in key nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D, and may contain trace chemicals or inflammatory compounds passed along from poor quality feed. When you eat these eggs regularly, you're not getting the full benefit you think you are. Now compare that to pasture-raised organic eggs. Hens raised in healthier, open environments with access to natural forage and better quality feed produce eggs that are richer in nutrients. Studies have shown that pasture-raised eggs contain up to twice the omega-3 fatty acids, which help reduce inflammation and support brain and heart health. 3 to 6 times more vitamin D, which is crucial for bone strength, immune health, and mood regulation, especially as we age. More vitamin A and E, antioxidants that help protect cells from age-related damage. I've had many patients tell me they didn't think switching to higher quality eggs would make a difference. But after just a few weeks of choosing pasture-raised or certified organic eggs, some reported less digestive discomfort, more satiety after meals, and even better cholesterol readings. It's subtle, but powerful. Now I understand that better quality eggs can be more expensive, and for those on a fixed income, that matters. But this isn't about eating more eggs. It's about eating smarter. If you're going to eat eggs 3 to 4 times a week, make them count. Think of it like investing in your health. Fewer eggs, higher quality, that's the shift. You don't need to eat eggs every single day to get their benefits. Instead, pair 1 or 2 high-quality eggs with other nutrient-dense foods, like leafy greens, whole grains, or avocado, to create balanced, satisfying meals that support your longevity. One more tip: pay attention to freshness. Always check the pack date on the carton. Older eggs not only lose nutritional value, but are also harder to digest and more prone to bacterial growth, especially if stored improperly. And never store your eggs on the fridge door. That's the warmest part of the refrigerator and can shorten shelf life. Keep them toward the back in their carton where temperatures stay more consistent. In the end, food isn't just fuel, it's information for your body. Every bite sends a message. So when you choose eggs that are higher in quality, you're telling your body, I care, I'm paying attention. And I'm not just here to get older, I'm here to get better, smarter, stronger, and more intentional. Because at this stage in life, that's the kind of nourishment that truly matters. So now you know, eggs can be a powerful part of your diet, but only when you prepare them wisely. Whether it's switching out processed meats, cutting back on salt, or choosing better quality eggs, these small changes can have a big impact on your heart, brain, and energy as you age. I've seen patients in their 60s and 70s turn their health around with just a few adjustments like the ones we talked about today. And you can do the same. If any of these habits surprised you, or if you're making one of these mistakes now, let me know in the comments. Your story might help someone else. And remember, you're not fading, you're evolving, you're learning. You're glowing in quieter, smarter, stronger ways. Please like this video and subscribe to Glowing Age. Your support helps me keep showing up here to guide you through the years ahead, with wisdom, care, and practical tools that really work. Take care of yourself and your breakfast. You've earned it.